Okay, here we go. Good morning, and welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Helen O'Brien, and I will be your worship associate for this morning. Our settled minister, the Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, is not in the pulpit this morning. Instead, we have the special treat of having poets who are members of our congregation read from their work. Our service is organized and led by Bill Kais, a noted poet here in Tucson. Yay! Although cases of COVID persist, Pima County risk level remains low. We do not require that masks be worn in worship or concurrent religious education. You're always welcome to wear a mask, of course. If you're feeling sick, we encourage you to join us from home. Based on a poll in late 2021, UUCT members are committed to staying fully vaccinated and boosted. For all of our sakes, especially those of us who are most vulnerable, we trust that you will maintain that commitment. I extend a special welcome to online visitors. For those visitors here in person, we would love it if you would complete the yellow contact information that you can find in Goddard after the service. If you need to use the restroom during the service, we have two gendered restrooms in the foyer, and then we have a accessible and gender-neutral bathroom in the, what do we call that space? The space back in the back. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, let us remember that our community strives to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert, so that we may better reflect the wonderful diversity with which Southern Arizona is blessed. Our call to worship this morning is Weavers of One Story by Leah Ongeri. Here we are, together, each facing our different human tasks, or maybe the same central one, to embrace the lessons life delivers, to discern and respond as we grow, to refuse harm and cherish flourishing. May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility, holders of each other's heartaches and tales of joy alike, weavers of one story in which we each have a part.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be up here again. We haven't done this since before COVID, so. We honor our gathering here today by lighting this chalice to symbolize the warmth of our community, to illuminate our shared beliefs in the freedom of expression and worship, to sustain the kindness and care with which we treat each other, and to affirm our gratitude and wonder for the miraculous web of life to which we all belong.
Stand there for the words. Let all the beauty we have known illuminate our hearts and minds. Rejoice in wonder daily shown, in faith and joy and love that binds. the miracle of every birth. Life's music and its poetry surround and bless us through our days. For these we sing in harmony, together giving thanks and praise.
Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each reap, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. Let us remember those desert people who came first in this place. We honor the Hohokam, the Ta'atam, the Yaqui, the Yavapai, and the people who no longer exist as tribal entities here in Arizona. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. Let's remember those who are walking through our desert right now without access to water. We bring to mind those who are seeking to provide access to water in the desert. We pour water from a plastic jug similar to the ones used by our ministry partner, No More Death. If you have a joy or sorrow to share aloud, I invite you to go to menti.com on your device and put in the code 26833363. If you are here in the sanctuary and want assistance to put your thoughts up on Menti, Brian Moon can help you do that. I invite you, those of you here in the sanctuary, to come up to the table and create ripples of hope by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your joy or sorrow. Okay, on Menti this morning. Congratulations to our pianist, Danielle Miffam, who passed her doctoral comprehensive exams this week. Woo! She is now ABD in her PhD for music education. Can we go back? Joy that my father is not one I have to celebrate this weekend. Prayers for my 24-day-old grandson at TMC. Okay. Thank you. So, a joy and a sorrow, celebrating my grandson's high school graduation with a fractured family. Okay. And now Bill's going to add a few more stones for those joys and sorrows left unsaid.
We offer this prayer if you want to come to whatever sacred space you hold dear in your tradition. Whether we pray to a named God or to give thanks for this miraculous creation of life that we are a part of, we are acknowledging that we are on a journey within something much greater than ourselves. Often within that journey, there are overwhelming difficulties and obstacles for those. For those in such situations, we offer our prayers and compassion and try to take meaningful action to help ease the suffering of those less fortunate than us. This is what it means to be within this cocoon of humanity, that we recognize that we share this life with all other lives in this existence. In the recovery communities, there's an oft-used expression, there but for the grace of God go I. Reflect on that for a moment. Whether the foundation of our faith journey is God or Buddha or Allah or Yahweh, gods and goddesses, or belief in none of these, we are a stroke of misfortune away from such struggles. Please reach out in some way every day for those living through difficulty and tragedy. Thank you. And amen. So I'm going to introduce Janet Moore, who's going to read a poem of her own. The body of the rest of the poetry will be the sermon, and Janet's can be included in that.
Thank you, Brian. Streamside, the headwaters of Sabino Creek, small green-flowered orchids bloom. I'd wanted to see them for years. Thrush song and red-breasted nuthatches have come down from the mountain. The way down looks too slippery and steep. The creek doesn't mind, flows down impossible layers of time, tumbling perfect sitting rocks and leaving garnets behind. Above occasional pools, there is more birdsong and the whispering of lonely cottonwood leaves. The plants would like something more from you. Spiny desert lizards hold their sunny boulders close, and you who were raised by this creek, elderberries, adventures, and a few bitter canyon grapes, stand sunlit, offering almonds, raisins, tea, and company.
Hang on, Lisa. Oh. Yeah, well, my name is Bill Kais, and we've been doing this since 2008, this poetry service, and the poetry becomes the sermon. Once COVID arrived, then we stopped. So this is the first time we've had a chance to do this. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for allowing us to do this. And a big thank you to Bert Meek and the worship committee for reaching out again and saying, hey, we'd like to do this again. So the poetry of these writers is the sermon, I'll introduce each poet as they come up to read their own work. And if we could hold applause until they're all done, although I know that the urge is to thank them for their work, and that'll help us be more timely with this. And then we'll let them know how we feel afterwards. For those of you who would like to have, I've got poetry booklets with the poetry in it. You're going to see it and you're going to hear them read, but if you would like to take a booklet of the poetry home, I have permission from the poets, and it is printed and it'll be in Goddard Hall after the service. And we have always tried to put the poetry on the website as well for the church. So this is Lisa Periale Martin, and she has a couple of poems for us. Lisa, take it away.
So this first poem was inspired by a Reddit post by someone named Vampire Apologist. They wrote, "I have 15 years worth of outstanding library fines in 3 separate cities. And it's my hope that eventually a bounty hunter librarian will come to collect and we'll get in a bar fight and fall in love." Somebody responded, "As a person, I think this is funny. But as a librarian, this really annoys me." I'm a librarian. "I'm newly terrified," Vampire Apologist responded. "I'm newly terrified by the implication that librarians aren't people, and I've misjudged what exactly I'm up against." So here we are with the bounty hunter librarian. "The bounty hunter librarian is coming for me, and I don't care. I'm only curious and, frankly, ready for an adventure. Will they drag me in cuffs back to my hometown in Jersey? Did I leave there with an illustrated copy of The Hobbit or Ginsberg's Howl? Did I disappear with Nin's Delta of Venus? Maybe when I was living out of a truck picking fruit in the orchards of eastern Washington, I walked off with The Color Purple or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Will they find me at Trader Joe's or the Shanty or Sabino Canyon? Will they track me down at my local library or the Unitarian Church? Will I be reading this poem at an open mic when I'm taken into custody? Will a group of poets overwhelm the bounty hunter librarian and give me a chance to escape? But instead, we all go out for beers and decide to meet up again soon at the Poetry Festival or the Mariachi Conference, because the bounty hunter librarian is kind of hot, and we all want to be her friend, don't you? Okay. Can't believe I read that in church. Ode to Libraries. Sheltered there on road trips derailed by desperate weather, card holder at General Delivery as a fruit tramp in Wenatchee. Overwhelmed teen lost in slot canyons of university collections, smitten with tiny rural branches. The Myrtle Craft in Portal, Arizona was the right size to fit in one ventricle. Trudged by Botanical Book Room halfway up Tumamock Hill, little free steward, called Mrs. Librarian Lady at 5 different sites, cracked the Dewey Code, hosted beatnik poetry cafes, author visits, didgeridoo players, storytellers of all stripes, hooting great horned owl, reading to a dog. With the magic of borrowed books, I inhabit rogues, rabbits, royalty, riffraff, swim slipstreams, dance with strangers, incarnate casually, lose myself on pages, in stories, volumes, stacks, blessed brick walls.
Stephen Cranack is our next poet. Thank you, Lisa. Can't believe you read that in church either.
The theme for this month is community. And where would we be as a community without working sanitary sewers? The plumbers. Here's what it's like around our house these days. Early to bed and early to rise, because the plumbers are coming, and we're paying these guys big bucks. Our purple porta potties in place, out in our front yard. Our neighbors are looking askance at it hard. At least when I use it, I can stand up and pee. Especially this morning, it was 32 degrees. Our neighbor and her grandson, Bradley, came walking by. He glanced in our yard. The purple potty caught his eye. They live right behind us, just over a small ridge, and Bradley still looks for trolls under the Potrero Road Bridge. "What's that?" he asked in his inquisitive way. Bradley's now 3 or closer to 4. "It's a purple toilet," I said, and we looked inside after opening the door. "Oh," he laughed, "it's for pee-pee and poo." "Yes," I said, "exactly. And remember, it's reserved for us old guys, and maybe, just maybe, you too." The next time they walked by, little Bradley checked out the potty once more. He tried, but was too short for the urinal, so he peed on the floor. 2 plumber crews came on Monday, Kenny and Tristan, Tony and Gage, all master plumbers, although young in age. They're using cameras and sanders and flushers and chains. We hope they don't break our feed lines or mains. For the first 3 days, they were up on our roof, pounding and banging and grinding and more. Our neighbor's St. Bernard buddy hated it. Woof, woof. They were flushing our stacks, getting out the old lead. I was trying to write this. All I heard was that noise in my head. Next week, they'll be outside and inside too, flushing and coating and lining our pipes. This place is becoming kind of a zoo. Cummings Plumbing told us to plan on a 2-week job from start to finish. It's what they said to Steve and Bob. This 2-week job has now morphed into 3. When these guys are gone, we'll be jumping with glee. Where the main line is rusted and cracked, they're now filling it with foam, then drying, sanding, and coating it. We have to endure this because this is our home. Week 3 is now past history, but we're heading for 4. Supply chain issues. Need I say more? These plumbers work hard in grease, grime, and grit, but to date, our sewer is still flowing with all of our sewage.
Okay, poem number 2, I can't believe we read in church. Please welcome Margot Weaver Garcia, who has several perspectives from it for us.
Thank you. This is one of my, we were talking earlier about where do we write poems, and this is, I said, well, I like writing them in the airplane, so this is one of my airplane poems. Flying over the coast of California. How amazing to look below on the liquid chemical H2O. So solid appearing with ripples and waves, dark blue, blue-green, and mottled grays. It frosts along the edge of the land, sometimes looking white against the sand, other times dark against the rocks that form a barrier to building docks. A line of silty pollution arcs, a band artistically drawn by an invisible hand of currents, volume, depths, and more, linking people's influence from the shore. Come back, oh beautiful blue, that speaks of clarity, purity, true. you can tell from the references this was written while I was living in Virginia because the plants don't match the desert. On seeing a young girl wearing black. Why are you wearing black this lovely spring evening? Black is the color of death, and this is spring, rebirth. Why are you not wearing yellow? Yellow is the color of daffodils, looking like sunlight in the gray rain. Why are you not wearing pink, the color of fresh, sweet roses brightening up the brick wall? Why are you not wearing green? Green is the color of new leaves, new grass, which is vigorous. Why are you not wearing orange, the color of tulips that spring up out of the cold, dark earth? Is your black to remind us that death is always with us, even on a warm spring night? Or is it rather like the night sky, a passing of time until the day brings its bright colors, blue, yellow, and white? And as Steve mentioned, the community being our theme, here's my statement about community. Sweet morning smells. As I will walk out the early morning morn, the smells of waking and starting the day greet my steps. Up the block, the sharp smell of frying bacon. Around a corner, the sweet smell of muffins. Across the street, the tangy smell of pancakes cooking. And at the next house, coffee's fulfilling aroma. At the schoolyard, the dense scent of magnolia startles me. The waxy white, large, strong blossoms against the shiny, dark leaves. What perfume! Each scent a gift generated by our daily tasks, done for self or family. The scents flow into the neighborhood and entwine, enriching the day, creating the connectedness of community.
Thank you, Margot. Georgia, you're next up for us. Georgia's going to connect an even larger community for us.
Well, my first poem is a conversation that I'm having with my daughter who is not yet born. I'm imagining it, how it would seem to find each other. And later, after I wrote this, I sent her a small turtle that I had bought. It had a few jewels in it or something like that. It was made out of, it was a sculpted turtle. And she sent it back. She said, "This is too expensive." So it might show you that we had a complex relationship, but I loved her. I love her still very much. The mountain's light for my daughter. Mama, you ask, where was I when you found me? I heard you first near the door, my darling daughter. I heard you sigh, a breathing sound. Then I saw you dragging your body between two rocks, your small turtle's body, your small head and legs. You seemed so cautious, as if questioning the soil of me. Larger than night or day, I must have seemed to you. Your first garden, your Eden, where Beethoven lived somewhere behind those trees. You heard his pleas to stay in the garden with him, but you didn't. You wanted to come to me. I'm proud of you and grateful too. Oh, my daughter, come through this door so I can find you. I'll admire your courage. Rain will fall, I've heard. Night and day, rain will fall. You ask me again, Mama, how will you find me here? You must find the sea, little one. It will hold your body safely, encased in your shell. Don't be afraid. The ocean's heart will carry you, curled up in dark waves. To find you, I'll rise up and become a mountain. The moon will be my helper, the mountain's light. Night will pass before I can see you coming closer and closer. The tide more gentle near the shore. So, I really love the humor of the other poems. My poems are very personal, as you can tell. And without the arts, I don't think that I could live, because it's an opportunity to be more than you are just as a person, just a person. So I really thank Bill for this opportunity. Thank you. I am who you are. This is for you. And I'm glad to be back. I am the forest, dark and deep. I am the peace you want to keep. I am the wise mind, let it be. I am who you are. I am the blue sky, reaching wide, the cloud where you can hide all the rain that you have cried. I am who you are. I am the mountain in days of old, the canyon steep and cold, where the ancient rivers rolled. I am the eagle that flew today. I am the deer that got away. And I am the dreaded jaws that grip the prey. I am who you are. We're talking about emotions here. I am the nighttime filled with stars, where all the travelers are. I am the love that bursts the heart. I am who you are. Yes, I am who you are.
Thank you, Georgia. Our next reader is Mel Fish. She's trying this for the first time. Be gentle.
Okay, you ready? Yes. Okay. I wrote this poem in November of 2023. It actually was a topic of one of my conversations in session. Vulnerability. Feeling like everyone can see right through you. Hearing strange noise in the dark when you're alone. Trying to make new friends. Not understanding why people lie about others. Not understanding why it's okay to be a bully to others. Not understanding how people can leave and never look back. Stepping out of yourself, learning how to trust yourself, learning how to forgive yourself, learning there is light in the dark. Sharing your written words with others, sharing your feelings openly, sharing yourself to others, accepting your vulnerabilities, opening yourself to your vulnerabilities, crying openly. This second poem I will read is actually from the end of April. Mental illness, the loss of human touch, the loss of a voice, the loss of arms, the loss of feet, the loss of eyes. Days going dark, nights becoming darker. When you find an open door, knowing to walk through it, night becomes gray. Days begin to see light. Moving to the warmth of the Southwest. Moving from okay to good. Knowing happy will come. I find my first welcoming circle, which is this community. Including me where I am, finding human touch, finding a voice, finding arms, finding feet, finding eyes, being where I am. Excuse me for a minute. This last poem I wrote in August of 2023. A snapshot, a moment in time etched in your memory. A scent that still lingers, a hug you still feel. Faces in the camera of your mind, voices you still hear. Tears you still taste. Places that feel like ghost towns. Parts of yourself left in those ghost towns. Both mom and grandma are laid to rest in those ghost towns. Having to verbally leave my bios who had already left physically. An empty place where Nora isn't. Making new memories of me. Finding new friends. Feeling like I can grow here.
Thank you, Mel. Poetry comes directly from the heart. Melody Lupke is our next reader.
Such delicious variety of these poems. I mean, wow. Right, left. I wrote this first poem in Minnesota, where I moved at the age of 60. It was the first time I ever lived by myself, ever. Amazing. So it was hard. I struggled a bit. It's called Gray Morning. The morning sneaks in apologetically. Gray skies, gray sidewalks, Gray, spindly branches beg for a whisper of light, but no. The sunroom sits stubbornly without a hint of sun. Cold embraces all, snow covering grass with its powerful grip. An awkward silence descends like a song caught in the throat. This callous, unyielding chill becomes a sculpture of perpetual, serious silence in layered monotones of frozen gray. And then, startling and strident, bird tones begin to fill the gray spaces, the sounds chipping away at the brittle edges of despair. Every note a sparkling stab into the heart of gloom. Chattering chords of feathered flight, simultaneously dissonant and rambling and glorious, decorate the surprised air. As swooping silhouettes of aerial artistry draw deliberate moving lines in the sky, chiding the somber scene and challenging the sun to return. And ever so slowly, sliver by iridescent sliver, it does. So the next one is called The Fire. I made sure that I had a fire bowl at the house where I moved into, or that I rented at any rate. So basic elemental is fire. I love it. The fire. My feet direct me to this path, my eyes pulled to the lush green tangle of a playful group of trees and shrubs in glorious growth. I walk this unknown trail with a pace my brain feels compelled to question, yet my feet insist that yes, this is the way. At the campsite, your optimistic hands have assembled a stunning, steady fire, decorating dusk with promise, defiant of the dark. The fire sings a strong song of now, and the campsite sits content, anticipating. My ears respond to the sounds of a fire fully formed, and the crackle and hiss propel me forward as the trail ends at fire glow. Your eyes join mine at the threshold. My heart beholds you, and I am home. I need some water, hang on. Soothe your bones. Reach, pull, breathe, repeat. Today may bring marvel or a monster. Reach, pull, breathe, repeat. Know that it's about steady, precious balance. Reach, pull, breathe, repeat. It's not just the water that keeps you afloat.
Thank you, Melody. I'm going to read from up here, Brian. There are threads of community running through this, although we did not ask the poets to hold themselves simply to that theme. So I have two short poems to read. The first one is called Harvest, and for all of the educators in this audience, and there are a bunch of teachers and professors and administrators, and this is for all of you. I've written it to Allison Hawthorne Deming, who was my independent studies professor for years. I finished up a creative writing degree, and showed me what the phrase endless patience actually means. Harvest. 1. I've come across old orchards on lands that seem familiar. I didn't know what to do with them. Over the years, I've walked through them, admired them, piddled with them. I find myself there all the time lately. I don't know much about orchards. Can you help me? 2. I've discovered that there is more work than I thought. When you walk the long spaces with me, you see seed before flower, hold smooth-skinned sun in the long gray of winter. You're always asking me to burrow into my roots, to hum the heartbeat of my sap pulsing. 3. I've found that I like the work, grafting, pruning, bringing water, pulling stumps. My heart is earth. My blood is sun and moon. There are more trees than even I could imagine. I've brought you a cornucopia of new fruits. They dream sky. And a poem for Becky, who's sitting over there. It's amazing after 35 years how all the differences and all the common interests and how everything swirls together after so long. Why we dance. You see a leaf falling, and I see the courage to let go. You hear the phone ringing, and I hear a pack of slobbering electrons tearing down the door. You taste honey on toast, and I taste the arc of sun kiss and bee spit. You touch skin, and I touch magnetic opposite, a velocity of desire. Yet I dance on the floor, and you dance suspended in pure joy, divining music's tidal pulse. Together, we float dense and sink to the surface, softening each other's steel and bending each other's seasons. 30 years has taught us that shadows light most of the universe, and that the only distance that really matters is the aurora between our hearts. These are your UU poets.
Okay, I guess back to the boring, ordinary stuff. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. If you're joining us on live stream, you can send a check to the office or give online at uuctucson.org/donate. If you're here in person, the ushers will come around with the offering baskets to collect your donations. Thank you. I'd like to invite everyone to join us after the end of the service in Goddard for social hour, where we'll have coffee and water and probably snacks.
And if you would please now rise in body or spirit and sing hymn 318, We Would Be One. The words will be projected on the screen, and it's in the gray hymnal 318 if you have one near. We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which bends our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves for greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
So the words for the extinguishing of the chalice should be up here. Let me turn and read this one. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.